how you live it. Father God never sleeping, waiting to make mistakes. So blame it on your friends, I mean, you're surrounding your face.
WEFM, the new fresh sound.
What's that? Stop. Activated mornings on WEFM 99.9. It's on now.
All right, then WEFM 99.9. We now gonna hand it over to Lyf with his commentary this morning. Good morning to you, Lyf.
Good morning, Roleza. Good morning, Maka. Good morning, listeners of WEFM. Hope everybody had a great weekend. I'm kind of driving. I'm early this morning. You have to hear me fine, right?
Yeah, but we were seeing.
So, Roleza, you saw the clip I sent you yesterday with President Donald Trump basically making fun of us. If you don't know the usual thing. Someone trying to call me.
Okay.
You hear me?
Yeah, we're hearing you.
You guys hearing me?
Yeah.
Someone trying to call me as usual. I don't know if they may realize they might get the memo to know. So, anyways, as I was saying, Trump went to address his Senate and was basically making fun of us, saying that we we bombed these boats and we damaged the fishing industry. Everybody free to go fishing now. And there were quite a few people in the background who were laughing, like, they were laughing, right? This is a big joke to them, right? So I don't know if regional leaders can take that as a sign that they need to get serious and focus with the way they deal with this situation in relation to the deportees and all of that. I don't know what it's gonna take again to make them stand up and look and have a collective voice against this thing, because these people don't care. We have a president in his
All right. So we just
Seems like we lose Lyf.
Yeah, it's the connection.
The internet connection.
I know Lyf seems to have had a lot of anyway, not see what I was going to say.
I believe it needs to be because he's driving.
Yeah, because he's driving. All right, so let's just see if Lyf returns. All right, let's see that he's calling me actually. All right. Go ahead, Lyf. Lyf?
The signal is not stable enough. I don't know what is I thought the signal over there is stable enough, but it's not stable enough. So basically what I was saying is that, these countries need to realize that the second president of the United States has no tact, has no emotional intelligence, has no care in the world about what happens on this side of the world. He's basically making fun of fishermen who are afraid to play the trade. Apparently, we damaged their fishing industry.
Nobody wants to go fishing. And everybody laughing is a big joke. If that is not time for the leaders them to have some sort of balls and stand up and in a collective voice for certain things. I don't know what is. But that's a discussion for another time. What is trending now that most people are speaking about right now is the death of the 17-year secondary school that died on Sunday.
Exactly lost.
All right. Try calling it back. All right, so just bear with us, folks. It's one of those mornings.
All right, thanks to that lady.
Has been redirected to the mailbox.
All righty, so all righty, I think it might be in relation to where he is. His signal probably just dropped completely. All right, let's try one more time and see if we get him, and if not, then we would adjust accordingly. All right, Lyf?
Yeah. Technology failing me this morning.
Big time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what I was saying is that what is trending is the death of the 17-year-old teenager that died in hospital on Sunday after being stabbed around November 28, 2024, I think it was. At the time of that stabbing, a parent had called me and spoke about a chronic bullying issue in schools. And the young lady that was stabbed, she was involved in a kind of like mushing incident in Grenada where some other athletes were involved, and apparently some of the stuff that they used to mush around the students went down one of them throat, and she had an allergic reaction to it and had to go to the hospital and couldn't eat a couple of days. So the parent was saying that like the students are basically engaging in a form of bullying that wasn't being addressed at the time by the authorities and the people responsible. And she was saying that there was a big problem with bullying in the schools. And then, so when she saw that a student was actually stabbed, she wasn't really surprised that that was the outcome of that. And, well, I don't know the reason why no one was ever charged for the stabbing. And now the student has died a year after. And what is problematic now in relation to that is that there's a law on the books. I came across that law a few months ago when I was writing a article on a guy who was shot, and he died over a year after being shot from complications. And I realized that when I was looking at the law that no one would be charged. It was an incident where 2 people were shot. One died on the spot and one died a year after the complications, from complications of the gunshot wound. But the person who alleged to have done the shooting, he was charged for the person that died. So I was kind of inquiring if he's going to now be charged with a second murder. And that's when I came across the law saying that the year and a day law, that if you die from complications of an injury sustained a year and a day after it happened, then you can't be charged. The law is not just in civil security. The law is all across the world. But some countries now have swiped that law off their books. So you could be charged for something 4 or 5 years after. Some people have taken it off. Some countries have taken it off. Some states and universities have taken it off, not all. So there's that. Now, when you're commenting on something like this, you have to be very, very careful what you say, right? Because a lot of people are saying, oh, somebody dead, so somebody should pay. And this is the situation and what's not. Sometimes it's not always that plain and straightforward, right? Because like I noticed that parents are hurted. The parents of the dead child is hurted, and the parent, specifically the mother of the child, was alleged to have done this habit. She may be also hurted in her own way. But her comments on social media are kind of defensive kind of posture, which you can't blame a parent for one. You can't blame a parent for wanting to defend their child. It doesn't matter the situation in which the child finds themselves in. You can't expect a parent to go on social media and show the child under the bus because of a post being wrong. But what I think should have been the response is no comment on social media at all. Maybe stop a social media altogether. But you can't really tell a parent how to react when the child is involved. Because that's a whole different emotional aspect of things. You know what I mean? And as I said, you have to be very, very, very careful when you're commenting on these things. Because first of all, you don't know what started the altercation. You don't know if the stabbing was intentional. There are a lot of things that you don't know about, right? And I see people calling for somebody to be charged, calling for the young lady to be charged or whatever. But what exactly are you going to charge her with? I read an article from Eyewitness News saying that she could be charged for grievous bodily harm. I think any good lawyer can get that case argued out of court very easily, because are they going to have witnesses going to come forward? What the testimony is going to be about? The person who is injured or who has died isn't there, and it's not a murder charge. So I think it's very technical. I think the prosecutors are going to have a very hard time seeing how to move forward with this case. And even if they do, any lawyer what they sort, I think, would be able to get that situation dealt with. So it's a situation where we have to not look past this, but look at this as a warning to other students. The authorities have to know how to press forward with this matter. You know, as the parent has said, when the whole Grenada incident happened, where the substance was poured on the child throat, the authorities were not looking into the real issues, which is teaching children about bullying and the effects of bullying, and having really close-knit conversations with them and explaining certain things. You know, so it's a real sad thing that the child had to suffer for a whole entire year and then die, and then now the parents of this child are in distress, the family members are in distress, and then we have the person who's alleged to have done it. That person can't be, no matter what the mother comes on social media and says, the mother puts up, this child can't be all right. This child could never be in a frame of mind where this child is all right, rejoicing, being glad that this person has died. This child could never be all right. So it's just like really sad all around. And then, do we have the mechanisms in place to deal with this? I highly doubt it. We have seen. I've spoken about this many times. Where children go through certain things and there's no sort of intervention, clinical intervention in relation to, help psychologically or help emotionally. There's just none.
But like, most persons may be upset because somebody is dead, eh?
But that's what I'm saying. That's why you have to be very careful, because people are gonna say, people on the person whose side is dead are gonna say, well, the person died. He was such a nice person. He gets stabbed, and they should have died like that. Yes, I agree with all of this. You know what I mean? But sometimes, you see, and I choose my words very carefully, right? Because from what I'm hearing now, it's basically, yes, this person was stabbed, and yes, this person should have been stabbed. But it's also speaking now about flaws in the healthcare system. Because I'm hearing that she was in a situation where the medical alternatives here were not really available to help her. And she should have been not been in St. Vincent after she started to experience certain complications. So she should have left. So then a lawyer is going to use that tool to show, yes, she was stabbed. Yes, somebody should be charged for stabbing her. But the person is not fully responsible for her death. It's because of improper medical intervention. We understand that they were infections and whatnot and whatnot.
But a lawyer could still say that had the incident not happened, then all of those other things would not have resulted. Exactly. I mean, it's one thing to say. It's one thing to say that maybe the facilities here were not the best or whatever, but who's to say that the child and her parent? No, this is not me with your thing, right? It's people who might be saying that or thinking that is who says that any of the parents were in a position to take the child overseas for medical care and attention. This would mean that a parent might have to uproot their life, find a new source of income, etc., etc. We have to go back to the initial situation. Had this incident not happened, then all of these other things would not have been a result. And I think one of the things too as well, Lyf, is as Maka and I, we touched on it earlier this morning. It's based on the Searchlight article from 2024 as well, is that from the article, what was stated is that the alleged perpetrator had left her school and went to the Central Leeward Secondary School and alleged to have walked with a weapon. So in that, it shows a bit of premeditation. It's not a situation where the fight, as stated in the article, occurred on the compound amongst the two individuals at that point in time.
The same school. It's
leaving from one location, going to another. Lyf, where you gone? Your voice different.
You not hear me?
We hear it now, right?
Yeah, what I'm saying, the law don't even work like that because anybody could give. As I say, it's very technical. The law don't work like that. That's why they had the difference between murder, manslaughter. Then there's a charge that basically reads more like basically your murder. You're prepared for it. There's a way to write that one again. That you're prepared for the murder. So you went and did it. So it's planned, it's premeditated. Then there are incidents where like you just end up in a situation and you just have to defend yourself and the person is dead and you're still charged. The lie is very strange. Because even if the young lady had died under a year and a day of her being stabbed, this child, whoever is accused of the stabbing, I highly think that the child would have been charged for murder. It may have been a manslaughter charge, which is a bailable offense. And then the lawyer is going to bring into the argument that she died from a medical complication as a result of the stabbing, not directly because of the stabbing. So as I said, it's very technical. It's very technical. And to say somebody left from one area to go to another area with a weapon, that is something that could also be argued down by a lawyer because both of them are from Barley. Maybe the student says, well, I went to see a friend there and then I saw how we get. It's just a lot of technicalities that, you know, the thing we have that we can't even like basically say how it would go, how it would turn out. You know what I mean? And sometimes, okay, there are a lot of situations, right? As I say, I want to be very careful when I'm commenting. I'm not speaking about this specific situation when I made this comment, but sometimes people are the architect of their own demise. In many, many instances, we see people being the architect of their own demise. I'm not saying that this is a case where this is what happened there. But that these are things that come out in court. These are things that lawyers use in court to argue certain points. You know what I mean? Maybe the whole incident shows bad parental guidance. Maybe the whole incident shows a kind of nonchalance by the authorities that's supposed to deal with these things. Maybe some adults should have picked up on the tension between them. You know, it's just like a lot of things come out of this one situation. And at the end of the day, someone is dead, and apparently the young lady suffered a lot, and apparently that she was a talented athlete, so it's a big loss for everyone.
It's just an all-around very, very, very sad situation. Where do we go from here?
And the question and the question is who is responsible now?
No, well, you see, every situation we don't even have the facilities or the capabilities to deal with these situations on a one-off thing, because it's just like we don't have personnel to address these things on one-off situation. And a one-way approach to addressing something like this, it just would not work. You could bring back in the fight at KFC a few weeks ago, where 5 people were charged, and I saw after the 5 being charged, I saw more people were charged in relation to it. Now, what happened is that the initial 5 that were charged, they weren't charged for grievous bodily harm or anything. They were charged for affray, and they went court and pled guilty with the intention of probably hearing the sentence right away. They are told, okay, you plead guilty, you get a discount of the sentence. And what the court did? The court remanded the 5 of them until today. And then it comes down to they now have that stain on them of having gone to prison. And some people say, oh yeah, lock them up, jail them. That is not the way to deal with these things. These things have to be looked at on an individual level.
Well, I mean, there was a situation a few years ago where another young lady, a student, she was a student, stabbed another student. And but I think that I can't remember if that person, that child died right away. It's something that had happened up Lomans. Yeah. And that child was charged. And I think she probably spent time. I'm not sure if it's Kittles at that house or whatever, but she was charged and she did her time. You know, I think what is happening in this case is the amount of time after the incident had happened, which is why there is going to be that bit of a technicality here. But, you know, we don't want for it to get in the minds of maybe of youngsters that just because they're underage, that there is a possibility that they're going to get away with it. If they do something like this, they can face the consequences of their actions. And like what happened with that young lady many years ago. So
I don't think anybody going to think that they could stab somebody and get away with it.
Yeah,
the young lady with the incident in Lomans, when she had stabbed another young lady and killed her at her home. The young lady died on the spot, and she was convicted and sent to prison. And you know what? You know, that young lady she went to prison and she ended up and like did a lot of subjects and passed them and thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she did. She kind of turned her life around when she went to prison. There was another incident where there were several young ladies had attacked another young lady somewhere up in the Glen area, and she died, and they had also gone to prison. Mm-hmm. I think some of them sentences are finished now, and some of them also did very well in there and turned themselves around and not really, you're not really hearing them involved in applications like these again. But what I'm saying is that 5 people were charged for affray in KFC, right? Are all their individual circumstances, is their guilty plea warrants them being sent to prison, every single one of them being sent to prison and remand? Could have been a situation where they were looked at individually like, okay, why were you fighting? When I was inside KFC and somebody just walked in and slapped me and I defend myself, I get charged with a friend, now I gone to prison for defending myself over somebody that slapped me, because that's what happened. You saw in the video that a guy walked to the door and slapped another guy. But my question is, if the guy who got slapped, if he was also charged, and if he also pled guilty to fight, and if he also was remanded, so it's not. We can't look at these things like.
Yeah, I know that they're not. Yeah, I know that they're not black and white, but I think one of the key things for me, for young people to take away, not just young people, I keep saying young people, but not just young people to take away, is that for every action there is a possible outcome. Right? And they need to realize that there are instances, or many situations, they have to find different methods to address whatever challenges or whatever problems that they have with other people, right? Because you see here, as you're correctly saying, that there is going to be a stain, regardless of what court actions happen on the alleged perpetrator. There is going to be a stain on this young lady for, well, maybe the rest of her life. Not everybody might necessarily look to bring it back up, but there are certainly persons who are going to bring it back up and throw it in her face, you know, for the rest of her life. Yeah. But it's just, to me, it's supposed to be like a warning lesson another warning lesson for young people to find alternative ways of dealing with with conflict.
Yes. As I said a few weeks ago, we have a really, really big purpose. That is not going to happen. And that's just the reality of the situation. These children, some of these children just seem to don't care. So that's why I say, like, if the resources are just not there to deal with these children individually or deal with situations individually. No, what happened? Why I know this happened, right, is that some other people were charged for offering. And they went and pled not guilty because they're not going on the road and pleading guilty and getting sent to prison for a couple of days. They're not doing that. They rather go through the system. They probably rather go through the system now and fight the case because they know if they go to court and plead guilty, the magistrate has the possibility exists that they're going to be sent to prison to await sentencing. Which is, listen, as I said before, right, I saw there are instances where I saw people go to court and plead guilty for offenses and were allowed their bail amount allowed to stand until the sentencing.
But we always was
but more serious offenses than a face-to-face fight in KFC. More serious offenses than that. Offenses that could have economic impact on the country. Offenses that could have serious issues for other people. And they weren't sent to prison to await sentencing. They were told to come back their sentence and this and such a date. Even incidents in rape. And when he was found guilty during the break at the High Court, he said he wasn't going back to sentence and he ran away. They eventually caught him on a boat or something like that. But there are incidents, and now look, as I said, the other students that were charged for free, the other people that are charged for free, they go and play not games and they're playing them games.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's a really harsh situation to deal with, really harsh.
It is.
Life, we always say we want a better society with all these young people, with all these things that's happening. And when all these young people do their thing, we always have pity on them.
Realistic. Some of them deserve pity, though. Some of them deserve pity. Not all.
All right. So I see a couple. Lyf, are you able to continue for a bit, or you have to run off? Yes. Right. I'm going to take careful. When we come back in about 5 minutes' time, we will wrap up this commentary with Lyf. But there are a few persons who are on funeral home.
Death is a fact of life. Even though death is